All right, today we're going to dive into the artistic philosophy behind a really fascinating photography project called Book of Numbers. It's such a perfect example of how a simple creative rule, in this case, finding numbers out in the wild, can completely change how a photographer sees the world and all the little stories happening inside it. Right off the bat, the photographer calls it a visual meditation. And that one phrase really sets the stage for everything. See, this isn't just some scavenger hunt for digits. It's really an exercise in paying attention, about finding that hidden poetry in everyday life, and seeing the order that kind of bubbles up from the chaos of the street. This is our way into the whole journey. So, how does this actually work? Well, the whole project is built on one simple but really powerful idea: using numbers as visual anchors in the chaos of a city scene. What started out as this fun little observation game turned into a much, much deeper exploration of composition and what pictures can actually mean. The secret sauce here is something called the visual anchor. In every photo, the number itself isn't really the star of the show. Nope, it's the starting point for your eye. It's the first thing you notice, right? And from that one anchor point, your gaze can wander and explore the rest of the image. The texture of a peeling wall, the way the light hits a corner, or maybe some quiet human moment happening just off to the side. And this is where it gets really interesting. That simple anchor technique becomes this gateway to some seriously deep themes. All of a sudden, a peeling number on a brick wall isn't just a number. It's a thought piece on aging, on what lasts and what doesn't. The random way a sign is placed becomes this little study in chance versus order. It just elevates these simple street scenes into something way more philosophical. But here's the thing. This is not just a random jumble of photos. There is a very deliberate rhythm to it. The photographer isn't just collecting images. They're telling a story. And the order of the photos is a huge part of the narrative they're trying to build. And that's the whole point, right? We're not just flipping through a catalog of found numbers. We're actually being guided through a story that's built from all these little fragments. Each photo is like a piece of a puzzle, but when you put them in the right sequence, they tell a much bigger, more powerful story. And the way the story progresses is just beautiful. It starts with single digits. These photos often feel really intimate, personal, like a close-up. Then, as we get into the double digits, the compositions start to get a little more complex, suggesting things are building up. And finally, with the triple digits, the camera seems to pull back, giving us this sense of scale, of distance, and yeah, even the anonymity of big city life. Exactly. There's a direct line between how big the number is and how emotionally complex the scene feels. The photographer is using the simple act of counting to build this emotional arc across the entire collection. I mean, that is a masterful way to use sequencing to create a feeling. Now, this might be the most brilliant part of the whole project. It's not about what's in the photos, but about what the photographer deliberately leaves out. There's this intentional ambiguity, this open space in every single picture that basically invites you, the viewer, to step in and bring your own meaning to it all. So how do they do that? Well, it's all about radical minimalism. The typography is really spare, and the captions, sometimes it's just the number itself and nothing else. By refusing to tell you what to think, the artist basically hands the power over to us. The image becomes less of a statement and more of a question, an invitation for us to project our own feelings and memories onto what we're seeing. I mean, let's just take the number 1, for example. When you see it, does it represent loneliness, or does it stand for unity and strength? Is it about being isolated, or is it about being independent? The photograph asks the question, but you're the one who provides the answer. And you can do this with every single number. You see a faded 13 on a door. Is that just an address, or does it make you think about superstitions? Or what about a stenciled 404? Is that a little inside joke about a digital not found error, maybe commenting on an empty lot? That ambiguity, that's the whole point. So, all of this, the visual anchors, the rhythm, the empty space, it all builds to the project's central argument. This powerful contrast between numbers as cold, objective data points and numbers as deeply, deeply human symbols. Let's be real. We live in a world that is obsessed with metrics. Likes, prices, deadlines. We're always measuring everything, and we're always being measured. This project is like a quiet little rebellion against all that. It asks us to just stop and reconsider the language of numbers, to see them not just as data, but as things that can carry stories and emotions. It's like numbers have two completely different personalities. On one side, you've got the cold markers, the impersonal data like prices and dates that just organize our world. But on the other side, you have human symbols, numbers that connect to our age, our memories, our identity, and the pure random chance that shapes our lives. This project finds its magic right where those two worlds collide.
So after going through this whole journey through numbers, what are we supposed to walk away with? Well, I think it's a reminder of a very simple but really profound truth about what we choose to value.
At the end of the day, yes, this is a photography collection about counting, but its real subject is everything that you can't count: emotion, memory, poetry, and the quiet, simple beauty of an ordinary moment. And that leaves us with a pretty powerful question, doesn't it? In a world so obsessed with data, what are the essential human details that we're all forgetting to see?